We're renewing our franchise agreement, with the town of Roxbury. We had a franchise, the last renewal was done in 2013, and the one prior to that was in 2000. For anyone who's unfamiliar, a cable franchise is an agreement between a town and a local cable company, so that we can conduct business with the town. Any cable company coming into a town has to apply for a cable franchise agreement. And this is just a renewal of what we've done in the years prior. So we've never had, no franchise agreement in the past with the town of Roxbury, and part of a telephone company has charged the franchise fee to the residents. We encourage that we don't put a franchise fee within that because that cost does go to the customer. We don't think that's beneficial. Right now, we have 1,000 lines to homes to Roxbury residents, and we have 530 cable subscribers. We have 143 miles of plant in Roxbury. In total, we have over 900 miles. So we have a pretty good portion of that is in Roxbury. Do you have any questions about the agreement? Me?
I do. It's a little bit about my own. I just got a letter from MTC. And they said they are raising the price, the fee that they're charging me by $9.50. Last year they raised it by $2. A year before that for $2. They never really tell you why. Why is it going up $9.50?
So everybody's rate goes up differently. It depends on what packages you have. So internet, phone, cable, they may all have gone up a certain percentage. So it depends on your package.
I have the least expensive package.
Okay. So if you want to, our customer service is amazing. If you call in, they can break down the rates.
It's going up.
So unfortunately, like everything else, everything's going up right now. Our fees go up, so we have to raise ours a little bit. Not everybody's went up. We actually tried to lower some of our packages. So our gig prices went down by $20 a month, and some others went down as well. So we can start to get better packages out to everyone.
And I will add, this is a public hearing about the franchise agreement,
Right,
not
sorry.
necessarily about rates. So that would be for another,
Yes,
another time, another place, okay?
But like I said, call our customer
I will,
service
I will.
when they can break it down or help you get a better rate or get a different package. Any other questions about the franchise?
Will you be here after this meeting?
Well, I won't, but I can give you my information and.
I just wanted to talk to you on a personal level and not with any rates or anything.
Sure, I can speak with you after the public hearing, if that's okay.
Just,
Or you can contact her at the office, that's fine.
I'll just throw it at you quick.
Sure,
Fix eye on television for me.
I'll put a note in to.
I've gone through, I talked to Pete, I've talked to all of them, and that's my favorite station, and it's constantly, so maybe
If
you
you
can,
did look in your information with your rate, we do have some new services coming out, so look for those too, because they might fit you better for what you need.
well, they call me John Haney down
That's
there.
okay. I'll give you my card. Anything else?
Okay, with that, do we have any more comments on the public hearing? Not, I will close the public hearing. None being heard, I will close the public hearing at 6:05. And we will move into our regular meeting, starting with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Okay. Moving right along, you guys received the minutes of a public hearing held on February 12th. Any comments or concerns on those minutes? If not, they will stand as read. Okay, so. Great, all in favor? Aye. All right. Just heard from Cambria concerning the franchise agreement. I don't know if if you had anything else you needed to say that we turn down the public meeting part of it. If not, if everybody's satisfied with it, I will ask for us to pass the resolution in our resolution section so that we can these fine folks out of here tonight if they want to. It's a new resolution to authorize me to execute the franchise renewal agreement. I believe this is a 15-year agreement, is that correct? Versus it used to be 10 and now it's going to be 15.
Can I ask you a question about the
Yes.
franchise? Does the MTC pay the town of Roxbury any kind of fees for being able to provide cable service to the residents of Roxbury?
We do not. So that was part of a franchise fee. So if we decided to put, if the town of Roxbury wanted to put a franchise fee in the agreement, that cost would be again passed on to the residents of Roxbury. So we don't recommend it.
Because I know when I negotiated one with Verizon in Westchester County, they paid us a hefty fee without the fees to the customers going up at all. But we got a little bit of money by allowing them to service the entire town.
We've never done that in the past, and
Yeah.
contrary to where you probably lived before, we don't have a whole lot of options for cable.
I know, but it's just,
That probably won't happen.
I don't want the fees to go up for the residents, but, okay.
Okay, before we start on this, what I would like to do, as we need to make a motion for. I was gonna do some nuts for me. Go ahead. I second it. I'll make my motion. All right, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now we're gonna move on. The first order of business tonight is we are going to appoint a person to fill our vacant council seat from Ed Rader, who passed a couple of months ago. We had several requests for people that were interested in this seat. As a board, we talked about it and discussed it. We decided that at this point, the best choice for that people that were interested would be Lisa Carabino. So I would like to call for a resolution to appoint Lisa to fill out the term for Ed Rader for this year, which will be until December 31st, at which time there will be an election held, and whoever wins the election will finish out and finish out the remainder of this term, which is an election. The election would be that this appointment is for the end until the end of this year. Ed's term was 4 years. So the elected official that wins the election in November would take over and that would be a 3-year term. Okay. So I'd like to have a resolution for that.
I'll make that.
Go ahead. Please. Go ahead, Bill.
I'll make it.
I'll say that. All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome. Can you take your seat? For those of you who don't know, Lisa, she's a longtime resident of Grand Gorge. Business owner in town, resident like Carolina. She has a lot of history with Roxbury.
Yeah.
Yeah. She needs to do that.
So do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of New York, State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of councilwoman for the term 3/11/24 to 12/31/24 according to the best of your ability?
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving on, we're gonna start a little bit out of order tonight. We do have. Thank you, folks. Thank you. We have Peg Ellsworth here. Peg's a little under the weather tonight, so we're gonna put her on first. As you're all aware, I think most of you are, that we were awarded a very large grant for Roxbury, and we're all very excited about how it's going out.
And all of them down there,
But to be short and sweet, Peg and I have had several conference calls, and we'll be having several more over the week. We are very much on the beginning learning stage of this process, so we are not going to have a lot of information for you tonight, but I'll let Peg fill in with what we're doing and what we're going with this.
So I will tell you what I do know and then tell you what I don't know. That's probably the best way to go about this. I do know a local planning committee will be appointed. It is a requirement by the state of New York that the chairs of that planning committee is the chief elected official, which is Alan, and a regional council economic development member of the regional council, which is me. So Alan and I will be chairing this going forward. The town board is reviewing a list of people who want to participate on that local planning committee. I think they're dedicated to ensure that it's fairly representative of both communities. But the state also requires some certain sectors to be represented on that committee as well, such as education, things like that. County planning, all of that. So that all plays into that. They're suggesting that the local planning committee be 12 to 14 people. Again, we need to make sure there's equal representation of both hamlets participating. And I think there'll be a lot of legwork to make sure that's absolutely happening. I do know that this cannot be reallocated to fund the shortfalls in the school budget. This was designated specifically, it was earmarked for downtown revitalization. And therefore, if it didn't come to Roxbury, it would have went somewhere else. So I want to be very clear about how, I am just as disheartened about the budget cuts for the school. But this, again, if it didn't come here, it would be somewhere else in the southern tier. So I think we're excited. We intend to speak to the state again after the proposed list of the local planning committee goes to the state, and the state actually makes the appointment. It's not the town board, it's not the two chairs. It's appointed by the state. So it's very important that everyone is clear about that.
Appointed
The local planning committee. The state appoints the local planning committee after suggestions of the town go up there. We're still learning the process too. Everything is, new to us. So that being said, I can assure you there will be a very robust public engagement throughout this process. And we will know more. We're going to have a informational meeting next Monday at 5 p.m. where we can, right here, 5 p.m. Monday to 18th, where we can answer questions. And, we're all in this together. Oh, the other thing is, the projects submitted with the application have not received funding. Then we take 4 steps back and there's an open call for projects again. So don't think for a minute, if you saw a project in there that it's already had allocated funding, it has not. We take steps back and start a planning process from scratch again. So that's about all I have to know.
You mentioned before that for the local planning committee, there'd be some sort of like application process.
People have been submitting names. That's as simple as the state advised us after, we spoke with the state last week. So people have been submitting names. There's, it's not necessary to have an application process because there's the sectors that need to be represented. There's names in the hopper, and there's in excess of 12 to 14 names. I can tell you that.
Would it be better to have public hearings before the names were submitted? So that
It's
everybody
not
had
part
an
of the,
opportunity?
it's not part of the process.
You have to understand, this DRI program has been in place now for how many years?
7.
And we are not the first ones to do this process. There's several other communities throughout the state that have gone through it. They have a very definite process that they expect us to follow. We have really not a lot of say. There will be planners that will come in from the state that will work with us on the proposal for the proposal for projects. And they will all ultimately, at the end of the day, the project approvals will come through the state, not through us. So
We could-
Unfortunately-
Who it has applied?
I'd be happy to post the list of all the names being considered.
our intent is to try to keep this as public and transparent as possible with everything that we do. We have a list of names. We've had many people contact us already. Until we get farther into this, I don't think we're ready to release the list of names that are there, but I think we are certainly considering and we would be willing to some point show who this all applied to this.
I think the other thing that's important to know is that the local planning committee will meet monthly, which is open to the public, and there's opportunities for subcommittee participation. So there's, you know, a very robust public engagement process moving forward.
So when you submit your name, do you want the people to put down what sector they represent? Because you need to know whether they're education or business.
Confused or-
Everyone knows But you can,
You don't know me.
oh, I know you. Believe me, I know you. You can submit on the DRI website, and there's a section for comments. If you want to give any background, that would be fine.
It is a little confusing. So you're still taking names?
So we were gonna stop at one point, but I think the town board would like to continue to hear those names come through,
But
so.
people are interested in serving, they can go to,
Grand Gorge Roxbury DRI.com. And there's a submit form at the bottom. We're kind of doing this on the fly too, so forgive us if it seems a little disjointed.
Yeah, this is very new in the process. We've had a conference call with the state. We will be having another one, I believe, tomorrow afternoon.
Very soon.
And that's, every time we do, we learn more. So that's the reason we set the public meeting for later on. So, yes, Mike, this will be the last question, by the way.
Well, I get a lot of questions.
So do I, and I don't have the answer.
In the Grand Gorge area, and one of the biggest questions I get asked is whether it's valid or not. I'm just gonna tell you the question I get. I'm sure you can guess. Is this committee that will be appointed, how are they going to be sure it's going to be equally represented of both towns?
I think I just said 3 times how dedicated the town board is making sure that it's equally represented. So, you know,
But they'll say if we don't see the names, we don't know.
well, the bottom line is, if there's 20 names from Roxbury and 5 from Grand Gorge, the town board will go and reach out to other people in Grand Gorge to see if they'll serve. That's how you make sure it's equally represented.
You just want an answer when people ask me what the answer is. They go better.
That's the best I can give you.
It's a process, is all I can tell you. We are doing our best to try to get through this. As we said earlier, a couple of times, it's new for all of us, so it's going to be a process to go through.
And I feel like we all agree that it's equal representation.
Yes.
We're all in agreement.
Since the very beginning of this, that's been
Sounds like people are
extremely made clear to our board that everybody would like to see this equal representation. That's exactly what we need.
Without a doubt.
And I'm
Including
certainly
the
very
governor, who
invested
made that
in making
was
sure
very
it's
much a
right.
part of her speech when she announced the award, that it was for both hamlets, not just one. So how it gets broken out and where that goes, that is not all decided yet. Which projects will be approved is not decided yet. As I said, there were several projects that were put in the application.
But that was for application purposes only.
At this
Doesn't mean
point,
that they're
that's
all
all Peg said.
able, but
We start over.
illustrations. Yes,
And we can see those.
yes, they're actually on the website.
Oh, okay.
And I would like to,
They, not on the size of the subcommittees. I think that's really where and again, there's gonna be so much opportunity for participation and input. That's really what the next 6 to 8 months entail.
everybody who has the things will show up.
That's correct, Joyce.
Okay, that's one way to sell it.
all right, with all that being said, one last thing I would like to say is I would like to say a huge thank you to Peg and her team at Mark, along with all of the volunteers that worked tirelessly to put together this application. As I'm not so sure all of you are aware, this is the 4th time around. And it was finally
And
approved.
20 plus people working on both
Yes.
the application.
This was a
and
huge monumental process to get the application even looked at by the state. So we're gratefully appreciative of the Mark project and everyone else who steered this for us, especially all the people that volunteered their time to put this application together and attend the meeting. So
Thank you, Peg.
And we'll see you all next Monday. And everyone's in charge of bringing 5 more people.
What's standing up and speaking?
hopefully by next week, we'll have a lot more information.
Yeah,
to share.
we'll have much more information. We'll roll out as we know something, you'll know something. And what time is next week, 6 o'clock? 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. It's like Monday the 8th, and it'll be on the town website. It will also be available on Zoom.
I hope this ain't too far out of left field. Is Crookside still gonna be, the school that we were told at one time?
That's still the plan.
Okay, because the last time I think I talked to you that, it was in the process,
No,
and I
it's still
thought that
the
would be a good idea if
Yeah,
it comes
no, it's
approved.
still absolutely the plan. We have some funding in place. The architectural drawings are all done. We need to get through the construction drawings of the docks.
Okay, just for a period.
No.
Thank you, Peggy. Unless you have anything else.
Thank you.
That's a good thing, I think. Instead of the building just dropping away.
Hey, Bill, do you have anything? I know you guys gotta get going early in the morning, so do you have anything?
No,
Nothing major?
no, not really.
Okay. All right, with that being said, we're gonna move on to our assessor's office. I believe that they're the stars of the show tonight.
Hold on, I put the reset red dot for my forehead.
Our recent
So,
letters
I'm gonna-
all received from them. The
Take off.
assessor.
What?
I said that based on the recent letters that we all received from our assessor, you guys are the star of the show.
Yeah, right.
Which are not cast in concrete, which is why it's important. If you have questions.
Okay.
Appointments, come in.
What I would
So-
like to do is let Stephanie and Bob speak, and then we'll have a question and answer period for people concerning that.
So, I'm gonna start actually, on the other side, we'll talk about rebound in just a minute. So I wanted to just follow up on the conversations that, we've had with you and the town board in the past with respect to the senior exemption. And so, as everybody, because a lot of people, attend our meetings. And so we petitioned the board, they agreed to increase the income limit for the senior exemption, which we actually did back in for the 2015 rebound. And so the purpose of that was really to offset any potential sting to our lower income seniors. And so the table now starts at, I always give everybody the top number, but I really never talked a lot about the bottom number. So the number going in for people to qualify at the 50% level, and it starts at 50% and goes down by 5% increments after that. And so instead of, stopping for 50% at 17,000 and change, that new number is 28,100. So if you were a senior, and your income was, 24, you were in the middle of that last year's table.
You gotta do-
So with this year's table,
I don't know, this is.
so at this year's table, those people at the $24,000 income level went from like 30 or 35% to 50%. So that's important to know. So, and then it goes down by 5% increments. So it starts at 50, then 45, until we get to the high number. That's the number that I've always been talking about at 36,499.
36,000.
At 36,499, and those people qualify at the 5% level. Now, the impact notices that everybody received, you're welcome, which is a required form from the state. Thank you very much. But I actually like that form, because at the end of the day, what I care about is, what does that potentially mean to my wallet? What does that mean to me personally? So if I can say to you that, your assessment, went up $150,000 and your tax bill remains relatively unchanged, you're okay with that. And so when the impact notices were prepared, the Roxbury Central School had not had their vote yet. And I didn't want to be presumptive and have the county load that table. So why am I telling you that? Because the seniors that qualified for this exemption didn't have the benefit of the new income table, which, thank you very much to the Roxbury School Board, they did pass our income table. So they're identical. And, they've done that, since forever. So they've always adopted whatever the town adopts. They don't have to, but they do, and we appreciate that. So what I've been doing, and I haven't finished my analysis because I'd like to share that with the board,
is what that positive impact was. So I'm literally printing out impact notices for those seniors because now that that table is loaded into my system, I'm updating their impact notice to show that new table and that additional reduction in their school taxes. Okay, so that's to back up on that. The other exemption that's brand new, any questions about that?
Well, one thing I'd like to say here is that we more than doubled the seniors who qualify for this exemption here.
Thank you, Bob. And that's a really good point. And it wasn't just because of the table. So there were really two factors that were built into that. So one of them was our table, which was important. And the other one was the new ruling that was part of the budget last year. What is income? What constitutes income for the purposes of this exemption? And that was rewritten this past year. And that was put into this year's budget. And so there's a new rule about the options that are available. So there are, variations, very complicated, but we made it simple for everybody. We have a calculator. And so we had 24 people. We now probably doubled that. So between the income table increase, thank you to the board of both the town and the school, and the new definition of income, that number kind of doubled. Still a very small tax shift for the rest of the township. Okay, so thank you for that, Bob. The other exemption that was adopted by all three levying bodies was the volunteer firefighter and ambulance worker exemption, 10%, 10%, 10%. So that was passed by the town, the county, and the Roxbury Central School. I believe for those of our residents that are in a different district, it was also passed by the Middletown Board and the Middletown School. So I'm also now updating those impact notices to show that reduction with that, because again, that was not loaded. Our county director had trouble loading that exemption into our table. So I'm manually updating those, and we'll get those out in the coming days. Okay. I'm done with exemption processing. Wanted to get that done early so that we could go back to focusing on, really hearing from property owners and, handling appointments in person and by phone. And when we do that, for those of you that haven't been in touch with our office yet, we generate sales comps, meaning the sales that were used in determining your new preliminary assessment, as well as the sales that are comparable to yours according to building style and location. And so we're doing that one by one. Bob, do you want to add anything to that, or do you want to?
No, I think that at this point you've covered it pretty well.
Okay, so
Unless
you
people
want to open it up for
questions.
questions? Anybody have any questions about that? So, John,
If you totally disagree with your assessment, what is our,
what's your recourse?
what's our recourse? Exactly.
Absolutely. So the first step, John, is the appointment with us, which we do either by phone or in person.
Yes, we
And if there's an adjustment that's made, if the assessor agrees with you, an adjustment is made, you will get a formal notice in the mail, probably by the middle of the end of April. Okay. And when you get that notice, and if you still don't, and you say, oh, I appreciate that, and you gave me a little something, something, but you know what? I still disagree with it. I don't think that I could sell my house for that on the open market. Your next step really is to come before the Board of Assessment Review, and that's on May 30th this year from 4 to 8 p.m. in this building.
Right.
Okay.
Or before then. Well,
Have formal hours.
again, we do open hours again.
My head is spinning,
So the point is, you have recourse. You don't like the answer that you're gonna get in late April, John,
That's
then you
right.
have recourse again with open hours again with us, or you can say, Stephanie, I'm done with you, and go straight to the Board of Assessment Review and bring your proof of why you believe you could not sell your house for that.
So I do have recourse.
Absolutely you do, yes.
That's what I
Yes.
wanted to know.
That
Joyce.
proof we have to involve a professional.
You could get, well, listen, your proof could take, a professional appraisal, not more than 18 months old, Bob, 18 months?
18 months at the outside.
I was gonna say the oldest, because after that, they have to make too many adjustments for that, so too many time adjustments? Is that a question, or are you just saying hi?
Just saying.
Okay. So yeah, you could come in with a professional appraisal. You could come in with your own comps and say, listen, you know what? Stephanie, you gave me a list of other housing styles that are like mine that sold in the last 4 years. and I think that this house or these three are more similar to mine. And
And we'll take a look.
and then, we can have that conversation. So you don't have to necessarily spend money to do that, but you can just start with saying, I did my own homework.
Right.
And I'd like you to consider these sales as
Right.
opposed to the ones that are in my sheet.
Or else you can find 4 houses similar to yours in your general area and look up what they're assessed for compared to what you are and say, look, I've got 4 houses just like mine, I'm on a smaller lot, you know, and I should be slightly lower. Just show some proof. You can't just come in to the BAR
Yeah, that
and
makes
say
sense.
it's wrong.
Right, so that,
Because
yeah,
you have to prove us wrong. That's the law, unfortunately.
yeah, so, does that make sense? Yeah, I'll get to you in a minute.
So, you show us what your comps are?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
And so when you come in, should you have all this printed out or if we
yeah,
do a
we're gonna hand it to you.
But I mean, when we come with what maybe you said we can do our own
Yeah.
research, look at, do you want that like all printed out? Like, can we look it up on your
Whatever
computer?
works
and
for
then
you,
we
you can email it to us, you can bring it with you.
Right.
You can-
But-
you know,
Before you do that, maybe you wanna see how we came up with.
Yeah, we had an appointment, so, yeah,
Then you can decide what you'd like
Right,
to
and
do.
then-
I don't like your comp,
Yeah.
whatever.
And my last question is, Bob had said, that you should find similar properties in your general vicinity. What if there is nothing? Even remotely similar.
Well-
Also, how would we see what their new assessment is?
you can't, you know what,
You
you
can't
can't,
until May
until May first, until the roll is filed.
Right, because at this point, it's still
Work products,
preliminary.
yeah,
Stuff is changing every time we have hours. Some people just wanna see how we came up with their number and it's okay. Some people, I don't like that comp, or I have a flooded basement every 3 weeks. And we adjust based upon what we hear from the owner.
right, and so, no, and again, one of the things that's so challenging about, places outside of tract housing is that no two houses are alike. So, you know what I'm
It's
saying,
similar, but I don't have
you know,
10,000 cookie cutter
close
houses.
but no cigar, so a Cape Cod, you can have a Cape Cod with a welded ceiling, I'll be with you in a minute. Cape Cod with a welded ceiling versus the traditional, so we try to really match those up a little bit, and so what our program does, so we try to do that matching up to begin with, and then after that, our program actually, makes accommodation for your acreage, your square footage and like that, but we'll always compare like with like. So your old style house may be very different from somebody else's old style house, so, because no two are exactly alike.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, Chris Cook, president of Roxbury Village Association. So I am a cookie cutter.
You are, yes.
Our units are very much
That's right,
similar,
yeah.
but that's the benchmark. If I can tell my constituents that if they don't think they could sell it for this price, that's the
I'll show
benchmark.
them 4 comparables sold.
I'm good, guys, thanks. The place next doors are going for much more. I mean, it's a fair assessment.
And that's part of the problem. Townhouses used to go for low hundreds, now they're going for high twos. And some of those sales get compared to people.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we are cookie cutter. and-
you
Yeah,
are,
and
And
yeah.
I'm just fielding a lot of questions, and that was the bench, that was my question, and that's my
Appreciate that,
answer.
thank you. Yeah, and you know what, and I'll be honest with you, I think I've only heard from 1 or 2 townhouse owners.
Oh, I've heard from more than that. Chris is a filter. 50 or 60, so, but I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy, everyone.
Thank you so much.
I got I went through all my old paperwork, my 1099 or something like that, and I found copies of my old assessments. And these assessments that I looked at came with pages that had dozens of boxes with X's in it. It had many, many blank spaces with numbers in it. What I've gotten this year is just a piece of paper with a couple numbers on the bottom and nothing else. What's the difference?
No,
That doesn't,
you would have to show me what you think is.
I'll bring them in. I mean,
Bring
they're,
them
they're
in.
sheets of paper with square foot and how many and boxes checked off and then other things with numbers put in.
No,
John,
no.
bring it
Take
in,
it from the pad.
bring it in and
Okay,
talk, because
I will.
what we do, here's the,
I think one was actually from Fannie Mae when I
and
bought
here
that.
are the for sale.
And
signs.
it was an
Never
entire
mind.
street.
Our format is different, John.
Yeah.
We're using a program that we lease from New York State, and most municipalities across the
Well,
state use the
When I
program.
have an,
as opposed
I'll
to
bring
a
it in when
daily
I have an
appraisal.
opportunity.
You can say it.
I will.
Any other questions for our assessor?
I got one stuff. So you said the last time we did this was 2015, so
2019 was our update, Mike.
update. So
Right.
roughly how many years passed before it usually happens? Does the state recommend something?
4 to
or-
5 years.
4 to 5.
And we put it off until 24 because there were some issues with RPS and other things. And if we couldn't start and complete the process, there was no point starting it. And we couldn't end it. So we put it off until 24.
Sure. With me.
Hey, Kevin, did you have anything you wanted to say about this process? I know you came down here.
No,
for this, but,
no.
okay, all right. Kevin,
Thank you.
our town attorney.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
All right, that being said, we're moving on. Chris, I see you're online. Did you want to talk about water sewer stuff?
Sure. I just have a couple of things for the water system. Today we had our pre-construction meeting for the project that we're doing on Denver Vega Mountain Road. They want to start that in the beginning of April. The other things that we're doing, I just got the antennas for all the meters, the new meters that I got. So I will be installing some new meters for ones that are not working anymore. The other thing is we have a generator startup for the new well building, well 3, scheduled for the end of the month. And that's basically it. The sewer side, there's really not much going on. We got a new air compressor for the micro building. The other thing is we just found out that one of the well pumps is bad that feeds the microfilter. So we're gonna have to call JB's line service and get a new well pump for the clear well and at the sewer plant. So that's where we are.
Okay, anybody have anything for Chris? We did receive a written report from Mike Harrington. We also discussed the construction meeting for the Big Mountain Road project. I attended briefly in that meeting today, but it does appear that there's going to end up being some road closures on Big Mountain Road while that construction happens. The road was involved with the meeting as well.
At the beginning or at the end of Vegan Mountain?
It's at the end where it comes into Roxbury. It's the last section of pipe from our reservoir that comes in. Replaced there. For anybody that lives in that area, there's going to be some disruptions in traffic for, I guess the safest way to say it, as short of a time as possible. I'm not going to commit to how soon or how long, but we'll do the best we can with it. So I just want to leave it at that. Does anybody else have anything water sewer related? Okay. If we had anything from the planning board this meeting. Building and grounds, I don't think we had a real lot going on right now. Does anybody have any comments?
Civic
We
Center.
have the thing from Mike.
Civic Center.
Oh, yeah, Mike, oh, yeah, I should. We did have a little mix up there, I guess, we did more and things.
Well, the back door, just a regular 3-foot exterior door. On the trash room out there, the volunteer driver for the meal site apparently can't drive, backed into it, and ripped it off the hinges. And the door was in pretty sad shape to begin with. The bottom metal was peeling up and everything, rotting wood, but one of the residents in the senior apartments there who was constructing, he put it mostly back together. I mean, it's totally functional now. We put some plywood on the bottom to reinforce it, but so it works just as well as it did before. But it was in pretty pathetic shape before and
Yeah.
not any better now. So really should have a used door. The frame is basically all right. We just had a new 3-foot exterior door with a window in it. We could slap that on, no problem.
Yeah, and maybe, I looked at the pictures, it looks to me like rather than putting a lot of money in that door, it's a whole lot better off. But putting the door in.
Yeah. And the frame's not bad, I mean, but most time you get a door like that, you get the door and the frame all pre-hung, you just slap it into the old hole, no big deal.
I will say that as I think everyone knows, the Civic Center was a large or a big part of our grant opportunity for the DRI. So I think that in coming years, I don't think it's going to be this year, but that will certainly be on the forefront of some of the projects to do things like replace windows and.
Yeah, the windows are a big thing.
Because it needs it desperately, we know that.
We're finishing the gym floors.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that building. It's been kind of let go for a while. So that's certainly one on the radar for the DRI project as we get into it. So, and that was also one of the things that were included in the application. So, okay, moving on. We did get a report from Denise for Kirkside. She had to be out last minute tonight, so she couldn't be there. We'll receive a report. We'll leave it if there's any questions. Comments, I guess you can reach out directly to Denise. Didn't have anything from our health officer this month that I know of. If anybody else does. And our building inspector, we did receive a brief report, which he promised he will work harder on and get a better one for us in the future. We kind of got cut short on this one.
No, good.
But he's definitely going to be planning on getting us something every month. Okay, does anybody else have anything else coming to the departments or things that we've got outstanding? I think so at this point. Moving forward, we did receive a fair amount of letters this month for different things. I think we pretty much everyone's received copies of the letters. Some of these are addressed in the resolutions as we get to some of the resolutions. So, with that being said, I will move on to discussion from residents. I would ask everybody to keep it rather brief. If you have comments, questions that you'd like to bring forward the board, I would appreciate it if you can keep it as brief as possible.
Alan, what about that intersection thing?
That's something that was actually
It's dangerous.
the main street intersection. It is.
When I picked Benny up coming back down from the house, there was a truck parked there and it was 5 feet off the curb parked there. You have to go to the yellow line to be able to see making a left or right hand turn.
It's the square here.
Right where what do they call it? The corner store right there. It's dangerous and someone's going to get hurt eventually.
We had one of our business owners came to us a while ago about that. I did actually have occasion today, knowing that it was our meeting, was DOT. One of the permit coordinators for DOT was here on another matter about our water thing. I asked her about it today.
And plus they had that whole parking lot right there if they want to use the store.
Yeah, and that's dangerous. We've got to look into how this is going to work. There are some rules that the DOT has that make this not as simple as it sounds. As is always, because it's a DOT.
No, I had to say something when we pass over it because I'm on 41 every day.
I know.
Making that turn.
I am too.
You too.
But yes, there is some issues with Main Street. I'm hoping that that's something we can address going forward as a project because it's not just turning on to 41. It's all in square and all the businesses in the square. As we all know, we're starting to get a lot busier, and especially in the weekends, there's an awful lot more going on downtown than there used to be.
You get a whole lot more cars.
You get a lot more parking, a lot more differences in Wayman's Park. So
fair enough.
I will say we've got to work with the DOT to get through that because most of that is all there right away. So we have to do what they tell us. Robin, sure.
Just to follow up on that, is there any way that the town, because this could take a while, I understand, right? Because it's the state and the DOT and all that stuff. And it's been going on for a while. The grocery's been open about, I don't know, a year. So I'm wondering if the town can do anything about the perpendicular parking that goes on at that
Diagonal
corner.
parking, you mean, or?
Yes, I'm sorry. Well, it should be diagonal. It's often perpendicular. So another problem. But is there any way that you guys can not allow diagonal parking on that corner until this gets resolved by the
Well,
state?
Not really. I mean, the engineer that was here today that I spoke with, we discussed that very issue. Her response to me was that the safest way to do any parking along Main Street is parallel parking, which we all know would eliminate most of our parking spaces on Main Street, which may not be the best answer, so I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, but it's the safest.
Probably the safest, maybe, depending on how it's done.
Yeah.
But that's something that, as I said, that was part of the conversation I had with the DOT today. We are gonna look further into it.
Is there
especially
any
on this
kind of
Main Street.
timeline?
Again, it's, our problem is we can't, as a town, we can't go out there and put a sign up that says, please don't park here, or please park. It's all gotta be approved by the state DOT. It's their road.
State.
And their road comes right, their right away comes right.
It
through the
was,
side.
it's not kind of those spaces.
All the way up Main Street, so. None of us really have a lot of say in how that gets done as a town. We can request and
It's
suggest.
make it like that, they try to suggest the do.
And there are some similar state issues in Grand Gorge with the same problem, so that's why I hope to be able to address collectively, at least in the inlet here in Roxbury. A lot more traffic than we used to. It's a problem.
Just one other thing. Sorry. I just wanted to ask about the pro-housing community designation. Do you know where we are with that?
We have applied for it.
Okay.
Along with, we are on the list of people, of towns that have applied for it. Where it goes from here, I know actually the governor even mentioned it. The governor even mentioned that in her talk about pro housing communities. Roxbury is one of the ones that has applied for it. I have no idea what the time frame is or what the appointment time frame is on it. I guess that remains to be seen.
But our application is
We
in.
did get it in there. Yes,
Okay.
that's what we've applied for it. So,
Thank you.
sure, Judith.
I just wanted to, ask Paula about the letter that I sent asking about storing some of the materials that we use for community events. Whether it's the potluck or the soup and sip or pumpkin carving, things that are community events. And I was asking if there was room in this almost 6,000 square foot building for 4 bins so that they're accessible for everyone who volunteers to put these events on. And it's not a coordinating issue between like, oh, it's here, oh, you have them, oh, they're here, you know, like one, it's four bins. They're like, you know, they're 4, you can stack them. I mean, I just feel like this is, the taxpayers paid for this bill, you know, it's a community building and, you know, so I know that you said you didn't have room, but I
Well, I don't
wanted to
disagree
make
with
my
you, but
case again.
If you look around this room, you'll understand kind of why we don't have room. Diane's space has a storage unit, which is a fireproof vault. We have pretty much every single office filled right now.
Right. I mean,
We have one storage closet at the entrance to the door, which is half filled up with garbage. And the rest is used for coats and things like that. We just don't really have a lot of storage space in this building. It wasn't built for that. The only other place that I suggested in the email and I responded back to you was in the basement. But we do have some water issues in that basement and there is moisture down there. That's why we don't store anything down there. So that there really is not a lot of space unless we stack something in the meeting room, which really isn't too kosher either.
they were fed under that.
Well, that's what I mean. We
We're there.
stack stuff in the meeting room. for
No,
storage.
it's one here.
And the other thing I will say about that is Friends of Roxbury is a community group. I agree. There are Boy Scouts, there are Girl Scouts, there are many other community interest groups. And if we say yes to one, we have to say yes to everybody. And that becomes a problem for us as a town board. We have our old highway garage, that's pretty well full of Bill's stuff that they need and store seasonally. And that building is not really secure.
The old town hall.
The old town hall is the place we're planning on doing a historical place. If we start filling it up with stuff that's gonna be just stored there, then it will become a storage unit for the town hall.
Well, the point was that it would be somewhere.
I'm gonna stop talking about it there and I'm gonna let the rest of the board see what their comments or thoughts are on.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
I'm not the one that needs to make the decision on this, the rest of us do, so.
right, that's a good one.
I'm certainly not picking on you guys, it's just that from our standpoint, if we do it for one, we have to do it for everybody. And this becomes a bit of an issue. I mean, as I said, we've got other space, but certainly I thought about the old town hall. But again, our plans for that are, and have been, and we have a lot of stuff in there already as part of the historic stuff. With hopes we can move forward with that project. Again, I don't know unless anybody else feels differently, that's. No, I agree with you. It's-
General store, they already.
Nice try.
Food pantry. Places.
I will say, I know that. The Roxbury Fire Department, we have Christmas stuff that we store and all that. And we run a storage unit from the self-storage above town. And that's where everything from the fire department, that's extra stuff gets stored there.
And being a part of the Friends of Roxbury and all that, maybe you ought to contact Laughlin. See if he'll.
Yeah.
They've been
it's
pretty
just
reasonable with being us,
It's
the
just
fire department.
four bins with.
Right now it's 4 bins, but it's like my house. Instead of town, it's 4 bins,
Well,
there's 6.
I mean, it's
And then there's
just a
18.
potluck. You know, it's the
Would
community.
the
potluck.
barns be possible? Would it be
Curbside
possible
barns?
to use the barns? Yeah, there's a whole upstairs.
They were there, but it's hard to coordinate with Denise. And it's hard to like get in and get, I have something from the Labor Day potluck still at my house because I haven't been able to, that's not mine, it belongs to the town, to the barns.
Well, I'm with
So,
the
that's-
curbside barns, and I don't want to speak for Denise or Peg or anybody else because they're not here to defend themselves. But, I mean, there is a fair amount of community stuff stored in there right now. Things like that. As far as access goes,
Right, that was the
if you're gonna put stuff in there, there is a lockbox there. I mean, I'm sure you could probably gain access to it if you need to.
And Denise is pretty easy to get a hold of.
Right, it's.
And again, there is a
If
lockbox
there's
there.
a lockbox, if you maybe tell her that we can have.
I'll be glad to talk to Denise. And
I
see
think
if
that
we
would
can work it out
solve
there
your
If you
problem.
want to do that.
Because that's where they were stored there historically.
There's a lockbox on the barn. So that's a possibility. If you had to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll do what we can for you. I'm not trying to be a meanie here. I'm just.
That's kind of the perfect ownership, right? Like, it doesn't, it's where anybody who's putting on, like when they do funerals, sometimes they want, that people want to borrow these plates, and because they're reusable plastic and it's like, it's more just to make coordinated.
Why don't you
Thank
check
you.
with Denise, see what we can do.
Yeah.
We got some space. Okay, moving on. We don't have anything else. I'm sorry.
I give a very, very quick update.
Sure.
Very sadly, this Friday, the property is going to be sold to someone else. So we'll have lost almost $20,000 in Grand Gorge, the hitching post. I'm being offered a museum directorship in New York, which the city I am with huge regret taking. I never wanted to see that place again. And I am devastated that we could not be of service to Grand Gorge.
I'm sorry to hear that. I hadn't heard, I know that wasn't in foreclosure. I haven't really heard the details about where.
Yeah, if some angel pops in at the last moment and could give us a private loan before, at least commitment before Friday, I won't take the other job. I do it here. But it looks
Sorry to
like,
hear that.
there's nothing else we can do. I'm heartbroken.
Well, I guess, I'm sorry to hear that, but I guess we'll get to see what the next owners are planning to do with it. Then they're gonna be in the. Hopefully it'll work out.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I see that the $12,500 for the library will be released when paid invoices are received. Maybe I'll talk to you later about how we go about doing that.
Yeah, I can explain that.
Okay,
We have to, it's very shortly, quickly.
Mhm.
Anything that we do with the DRI funds has to be documented where it was spent and what it was spent for. So we can't just. Huh?
ARPA money.
Yeah,
yes,
Too many
That's
accidents in my head tonight.
that's fine.
They require us to do a report annually or quarterly, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And we have to document exactly what it was spent on because they're very strict about the fact that it can't be spent for things like operating expenses.
Yes, I understand.
With the other organizations we've done that with, we ask them for receipts or for invoices or whatever. In your case, I did discuss it with Peg, and the process we'll use is the same thing that Mark has used with other projects.
Okay, good.
Since they're going to be managing the construction.
Yes, she is.
And so as the work gets done, it'll be released that way.
Okay, good, great.
Okay, nothing else. We'll move into resolutions unless anybody has anything else. Start with it would be department reports, town clerk's monthly report, supervisor's monthly report, assessor's monthly report, water district monthly report, justice court monthly report, parks department, code enforcement officer, and dog control report, which I don't know if we received.
I'll make them.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Tax collector, appointment of deputy tax collector does not need to be approved by the town board. It's a appointee, I guess. The franchise renewal agreement we did previously. There's a resolution for that. The fair housing officer designation. We did have a minor change we had to make to our fair housing policy to make it a little bit more functional, the way the policy was written originally. We needed to be able to send mailings out to every tax bill. And since the tax bills are done through the county, that is not really feasible.
That's not what this is for.
What's this?
As far as the policy that we now have in place, you, the fair housing officer, has to designate an active fair housing officer during periods when you do not have. That, what you're talking about is further.
That's further down, okay. So it's just, it's an appointment by me for the fair housing officer.
And the
Okay.
board should probably approve that, but
You want me to do it?
not gonna be me.
Boy, you almost fell into that.
Well, hey. That's it. Would you be willing to do that? Okay.
Second it.
I will appoint Deanna to do that, to be the acting fair housing officer in my absence.
Doesn't happen too often. I mean, you don't actually do anything that's fair.
I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know.
Side of the annual training, I think.
We'll find out.
Oh, might want to read that.
It's a-
policy.
I know, I did read it.
List.
And appointing the justice clerk, I don't think we have.
Who made the motion?
Huh?
Who made the motion?
These two really quickly.
so fast, I didn't even remember what they said. We do not have, applications yet for a new justice clerk, to my knowledge, unless something's come in recently. So that needs to be tabled. I know Sandra has agreed to fill in as needed. I have not discussed a rate of pay with her. I would assume probably it would be similar to what we were doing with her previously.
Okay, but we can't pay her till we know what we're paying her.
Okay, so I guess I need to speak with her and find out. I'm not even sure what hours Jared or what they worked out with her. So. Jerry was gonna talk with her and I have not heard what happened.
So we just pay her the same as the regular clerk.
That's what I have to find out if that's what she's willing to do. I'd rather find a new court clerk if we know of anybody. Same thing with Mike Martin. Mike and I did discuss previously, he's already doing work as a cleaner for the Civic Center, and Mike basically agreed he would just use the same rate and had time for the time he does in managing buildings. So that will stay the same.
Makes it easier.
Makes it easier for everybody.
Get to approve that, yeah.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Second, I'll second it. All in favor?
Alright.
Wherever you want to go.
Okay, you've all seen a copy of the final agreement with for Tatcherville.
Wait a minute, I gotta catch up. My schedule got out.
That's okay. I understand. This was an agreement for a final insurance payment for Chris Tatcherville's wife Lila, who is turning 65 earlier than Chris is. We just need authorization to continue for make it through the agreement that we would make us a flat payment to her so she can get her own insurance instead of keeping her on the town's insurance, which she drops off of.
The only thing I do see in that agreement, which I just picked up on the other day, it's in there for Medicaid. I believe she's signing.
I'm gonna say it with your Medicare.
Medicare, yeah. Should be changed.
I'll change that.
Well, I just need authorization to sign that agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Second. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a couple bids that came in. Friday. First one is for highway diesel. We had a bid for diesel and the winter blend. We had two bids. Main Care Energy and Marabito Energy. Neither company gave us a fixed bid, so we would be looking at the fluctuating bid. In the past, have we been able to accept both so that they change? That's the way we've done those, right?
No, why would you do that?
Um,
This is for the fuels.
But I,
So we
okay,
can buy them from either one? Didn't we approve them before?
No,
that was for.
Yeah, fuel
bid.
So
and it should be the lowest bidder.
the low bid would be Main Care, which is gonna be 3.099. And on both, and on the winter blend, 3.308 would be the low bid. So I guess we would go with that. I was thinking about that for the truck. Mine's,
What's that?
Haven't we done that before?
On the hauling,
we do that for the hauling.
on the hauling, not
Well, has the option to do both. So need a resolution to accept those bids. Main Care Energy for both.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
The next one is the material bid, hauling bid, which we in the past have accepted the bid from each, I believe. Is that right, Bill? That's what you'd rather do? And that way whoever's available and can get it.
Correct. There's been times where certain companies haven't been available, so go with the next flow of bids.
Basically, yeah. Or we're.
Which very seldom we use anybody
We do almost your stuff anyway. And we do use Seward, sand and gravel once in a while from the end there. So they would be the four. Carver, sand and gravel, Cobblestone, stone, Seward, and Gerster. Okay, Carver and Gerstner. And Cobblestone, stone, I guess, would be the four, for the three. We won't do Seward because they're higher. Yeah. Acceptable, Bill?
So
Yeah.
you're accepting everybody but Seward?
Yes. Or do you want us?
No, I would like to accept sewer too. Just for the fact that if some Gerster can't.
Okay.
use Sewer before.
Okay, so this time, Bill, we'd like to accept all of them. Then. Have a resolution for that?
I mean,
Second? I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Okay. We need a resolution to advertise for bids for the sewer force main mowing access.
I assume that we're still doing that for that schedule.
Yeah, we've done it. This is not including where we had all the problems getting in. That's gonna have to be a separate bid, I believe, isn't it? This is for the sewer force main, like up by Ferris Hill, through there, not all the way down. That lower section is gonna have to be. I'd rather defer on that to Mike, because I think that's gonna be a separate bid. Or Chris, if he's still
Pretty
on.
sure that's separate.
Because that's where we have to.
Right, but this is from Roxbury, the grain board.
Yes,
But we're still on the schedule though, right? So we're supposed to have the bid opening on April 5th
For what?
for this.
No.
That was in one of Mike's emails.
Yeah.
So I assume we're still operating on that schedule. 'Cause I haven't gotten a copy of the bid yet. Email.
The funding.
the funding does,
For Roxbury, so most,
but
No, but Lamont puts together the bid.
what is it, Lamont that does the bid or puts together the bid package? We haven't seen anything from.
the month puts together this package, yeah.
We haven't seen that. So. We'll have to follow up with them, find out. If that works.
He sent me a big package. Repair.
That's the repair part. That's a different section. I mean, we can set it and then always table it and do it at a different time, I guess, right? And we can hold off into just longer. Authorize. What's that?
You can authorize it.
Yeah. We'll authorize it and set the bid opening for April 5th, and if we don't get it in time, we'll have to just table it. Earlier on. Somebody can make a resolution to do that.
Not the turnout.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Okay.
Right. Next one is renewing a one-year license for Marty Junkyard.
I don't think we've seen you.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I couldn't do anything anyway.
Second,
Yeah, I'll second it.
all in favor? Now we're talking about the fair housing one that I thought we were talking about. We have to remove the section out of our fair housing policy that requires us to mail a pamphlet to every taxpayer in their tax bill. It's not required to be in there, and it's a lot of extra work and expense for towns.
I'll make a motion. to remove it.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
That's why I'm asking.
We need to appoint a new Schoharie County Soil and Water Conservation rep. It was Ed Rader. I don't want to throw anything more at you than I have to. Because
Get my feet wet first, please.
we'll just table that for a month and then I'll put somebody else in there and we'll talk about it afterwards.
So are there two different maps, one for Schoharie County and one for Delaware County, part of?
Well, the Schoharie, we've always, Ed Rader always was the rep for the Schoharie County watershed.
Okay.
Group. And so that would be the fill this position. I don't know that we've ever really, we've got this, so the water conservation for Delaware County is in this. Delaware County.
It went to the watershed advisory.
Yes, the advisory committee, yeah.
We have one member.
I think could have two, but.
And the other ones are interested in doing it, or we can table it for a month.
Table
Okay. And I would like to change the table, the committee appointments until next month as well. All right, I need authorization to execute and pay a not-for-profit agreement with Catskill.
Are we doing anything on? the point?
I just said we're gonna table it. Yeah. To supervise and execute not-for-profit agreement with Catskill Rec Center and the Coalition of Watershed Towns. It is the Catskill Rec Center is $2,500. That's a payment that we do to them for Roxbury school kids, isn't it?
For the swimming lesson thing, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we called it last year, the swimming lessons, not that we sponsored.
Coalition of Watershed Towns is a dues, I believe. But Coalition of Watershed Towns is just the dues. Yeah.
Make that motion.
Second. I'll second it. All in favor? And we received paperwork back from Blueback Excavating for water and sewer emergency repair contract. We have a standing agreement we do with all the local contractors in the year. So that any emergency work that we have done, they've already signed to give us their insurance. So we get them to do a contract. Typically, there's 3 or 4 of them. Blueback has done it in the past.
Make that motion.
Second. Favor?
Aye.
Okay, we had a request last month to allow a neon art display in Kirkside. We never did, she came and give a brief presentation about that. We never did a resolution to authorize that for Kirkside Park.
Who's gonna talk to Denise?
Yeah, he was gonna talk to Denise, and I'm not sure that we've got any response yet on that.
Table
I think that should table as well. Yeah, Denise is not here. I'd rather have her here. We had looked into building permit fees for churches and not-for-profits, et cetera. I did hear from Kristen earlier today, and she suggested that we table that. She's still continuing to do research. It's kind of a gray area, I guess, in the state. But I need to speak to that. Whether we can like not charge building permit fees for not-for-profits.
Because we had not traditionally been, we've never charged for that.
I am saying.
Yeah,
Kristen said she wanted to look
Yeah.
into that further. Apparently, maybe we were supposed to be charging.
Yeah.
more.
that's way to hear, but she's gonna look further.
And we had a request from Danielle Gokul for the Civic Center for use of the pre-K to 2nd grade basketball. They wanted to do it no charge. We did discuss the insurance situation with them. She's familiar with how that works. So are we okay with letting them use the Civic Center at no charge?
Look at the schedule will be that, but you got lots of other people that use.
That's gonna be, I'm gonna have her talk with you, Mike, and figure out what schedule works. I did not know what the schedule was, so
Okay.
I'll let her work that out with you as far as the schedule. And we need to
What about the insurance?
Basically, they're gonna get the same thing that anybody else would have for any of the other events, like what you and I talked about. That we cover in our policy. I did speak with Kevin. Chris, and we are covered for anything beyond, I guess, the whatever their own homework, their own health insurance, where they have health insurance. That was a fee of 5,000. For accident injuries. But that's intended to be a supplement over any individual insurance.
Question, which broker was that? What was the first name?
Danielle.
Danielle.
It's Hank's wife. Hank Cole's wife.
I'm over here.
We need to schedule a special meeting for the town board to audit 2023. We did. Didn't we? Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All in favor? All right, we need to schedule a special meeting for town board to audit the financial records of the town clerk. Tax, electric, and water. Is that something we can do on the 18th, Diane, or does this have to be a totally separate meeting?
When were you gonna do it on the 18th?
Or after, whatever works, or we can do it in a separate meeting? Whatever works for you and everybody else.
Yeah.
Would that work for you?
Well, you have to get Bonnie.
Yeah, if you're doing it tomorrow.
Do it start earlier, I mean.
4 o'clock.
Do it at
And
4
the
o'clock.
meeting already started at 5 o'clock. so.
Has there ever been,
Do it at 4. If you want to do that, that's fine. I'll be here anyway, when you as well.
I'll be here.
Huh? Code enforcement officer agreement, I know,
I'll make the motion.
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
I'm beginning to see.
we
We have open hours that night, so that won't be any interference with you guys, right?
No, we'll be in.
They'll be in the back too. We have a code enforcement officer agreement out there. I believe Kristen is working on making some changes to that.
I thought she finalized it. I gave a copy to Hiram. He didn't come back with anything. I
Okay, so
assume he's okay with
if
it.
he's okay with it, that's fine. Go ahead and make the motion to do it.
It just says code enforcement officer agreement. So what does that mean?
Our new code enforcement officer started 2 months ago. He was hired. That, so we had to do a new agreement.
Awesome. So just, it's just
Yeah.
he's approving his agreement.
Yeah, he's an independent.
I believe he's gonna be an employee, isn't he? He's not-
Or is he gonna?
Yeah, he'll be on.
Same deal with Tommy. Just explain what the town board expects of.
So I need a motion for that.
I'll make the motion.
Give me something to do today.
There we go.
Probably in your packet if you find it. Second, who seconded it?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is what we talked about earlier tonight. Roxbury Library Agreement. We need a resolution to authorize me to execute the not-for-profit agreement for the 12,500 in additional funds for the library through the ARPA funds. Caveat, that will be released as the invoices are paid and we receive notification from our project that the invoices have been paid. So then this fund will be released.
No, make that.
Or that, not that the invoices are paid, but that the work has been completed. Second,
I'll second it.
on favor?
Aye.
Aye. Through that. Okay. still have mandatory training status report. We have a lot of people that haven't done it yet, but it's not wrong. Just what I'm saying. Anybody that's working with the town. Can special.
Did you get yours yet from the last one? Did you get your certificate thing? This one that we just did. Did they send you a certificate?
I've gotten several.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you mind?
Just call that, Stacy. Joel. I think they send them out.
Instead of the, I was thinking of also do one, but I think. This is on the 14th.
Yeah, we already got our. I believe.
You do it online.
We had it in person here, but. When they're gonna have one, then I mail it out to everybody. There's a couple of those. But I'll leave you guys. Let you know, and the next one.
Okay, we went over the bills this month. I did. Being good today?
Yes.
Good. All right, so need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
Heads,
Second.
in favor. Just a couple of reminders, the highway contract expired on 12/31. And our next meeting, April meeting will be at the Grand Village City Center.
So it's 6 o'clock.
No other business to go before this board, I will request a motion to adjourn.
We're good. I'll make that.
Second.
Yeah, listen.